We're ready.
Hey, you're good to go.
All right. In accordance with the requirements of open meeting law, please be advised that this meeting is being recorded and it will be broadcast over Lunenburg Public Access channel and uploaded to the Lunenburg Access YouTube channel. This meeting is being held in person at the location provided this notice. Members of the public are welcome to attend this meeting in person. Please note that while option for remote attendance and or participation has been provided as courtesy to the public, the meeting will not be suspended or terminated if technology problems interrupt virtual broadcast unless otherwise required by open meeting law. Members of the public with particular interest in any particular item on this agenda should make plans for in-person virtual attendance versus virtual attendance. The agenda lists all the topics which may be discussed at the meeting and those that are reasonably anticipated by the chair. Votes may be taken as a result of these discussions. Not all items listed may in fact be discussed, and other items not listed may also be brought up for discussion to the extent permitted by open meeting. And with that, I'm going to take a roll call because we have a member on Zoom. Chris Sullivan.
Here.
Anita Shipers here. Karen Menard. Here. And Block is also here. Karen, do we have Chris Ruth on?
We do.
On Zoom?
Yep.
Okay, all right. So the first item on the agenda is Facilities Director and Recreation Director. Since Chris is in person, is on Zoom, maybe we can start with him. If Chris would like to do.
So I'm here. I don't have a whole lot of an update for parks this week. We've just really been working through budgets on our end. So I think the rec director will probably have a better update than I do at the moment.
Okay.
Can I ask Chris a quick question?
Yeah,
Sure
go
can.
ahead.
Chris, when do you go in front of the finance committee for our piece of the warrant article?
I am scheduled for March 7th.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I'm going to read, Angela sent me a list of what's going on. So I'll read it. If Chris could just hang on with us, it'd be great. The previous email. And I actually think I printed copies and I left them in my office. So in the spring, we have youth, the youth programs we're running is for April vacation. We have MA Sports League, multi-sport from 9 a.m. to noon. And then we have Snapology starting at 12:30 to 3:30. For adult, we have pickleball happening Tuesday intermediate 5 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. Tuesday beginner 6:30 to 8 p.m. and Wednesday beginner 3 to 4:30. We also have volleyball intermediate happening between 6 and 7:30 p.m. on Thursdays. For summer, she has the youth plan Snapology happening on the second week of July. And she's currently working on youth playmaking class, a youth police academy run with the Lunenburg Police Department. I know, Red Kids, which I forgot what it stands for. Red Kids, I don't know. And she's working on bass soccer and Good Picket Farm, which will be books with bunnies and chats with chicks. Dates to be announced. Books with bunny and chats with chicks. I might sign up for that one. And for adults, she's looking to also run a summer volleyball clinic and a pickleball for kids during the summer. And she's trying to work these sunset beach yoga one time a week. When Chris cleared up the area next to it, next to the her head, yeah. So it's pretty nice actually. So that's what was her update.
That's great.
Yeah, Chris, do you know if we have received any applications for town for lifeguards?
I don't know if we have. I haven't seen anything come across my desk, so I don't think we have yet.
Okay, do you know if we're announcing on the job ad that we're gonna be funding for classes for the certification?
I believe Angela updated that on the job posting. It
She
was for,
did?
yep, for the lifeguard certification, and I'm not sure where she landed on. We had talked about if somebody else wanted to get swim instructor, because I believe one of the lifeguards that had the swim instructor is not coming back. So we thought it would be good to have more than one person there with that certification if we can.
Okay, and have we confirmed with Liz that she'll be signing up to run the town beach again?
I would have to defer to Angela. I have not directly talked to her.
Okay, um. Okay, can you ask her, the other question that I have is, if she sent the job ad to Orchard Hills for people that will be taking the certification?
I will confirm all that with her when I speak with her probably tomorrow.
Okay, all right, so just the, okay, if you could, because you're not, if you could get that update and send to all the commissioners, so that way I'm not doing it and possibly violating open meeting law, is that good?
I can send you guys an update as soon as I have it.
All right, thank you. All right, budget discussions. So, Chris, do you have anything to add to the budget discussions? What did you request Heather for parks and what should come through?
Well, I haven't talked to Heather this week because she's off. Our initial budget was looking to increase our rec director's hours from 19 to 28. And we were going for some additional money in anticipation of the added landscaping costs for the new contract that will be starting July 1.
Okay. Do you have the RFP for the new contract? What is your timeline on that?
I am working on it at the moment. It's open on my screen. It'll probably go out in a couple of weeks. We're waiting for procurement officer to get stuff out, and I think the cleaning bid went out today. So the next one up will be landscaping.
Okay. And was Angela's hours increase on the town manager's preliminary budget?
On the preliminary budget, yes, there's quite a few budgets out there at the moment. So the preliminary budget did include it. Not all of them do. So again, she's on vacation and I haven't had a chance to have a real conversation with her about it. So
Okay. When I asked Heather for her preliminary budget and she sent it to me last Friday. I noticed that the programming line item for parks and the senior center was level funded. But Heather was increasing the library to by 4,000 to total 15,000. I sent Heather an email, and that's in your packet. And basically, there are a few thoughts on my note to Heather, which was the library is great. I support the library just as much as I support all the other programs. All these three organizations, they serve very different needs in town. And in order to make everything fair and equitable, I don't think one recreation and programming budget should be 3 times of the others. I also mentioned on my email that we need to increase collaboration between all these three organizations to make sure we're not overlapping on the offerings. And also kind of establish more or less what is that we're looking for participants paying in fees versus not. And the presentation the library gave to the finance committee, he said he doesn't believe that programs in the library should ever be charged. I don't think anyone should charge, but I think we need to make things more equitable. Just because we are serving different populations, I don't think one is, valid more than the others.
Mhm.
So I made a case for that, Chris. I don't think it's fair for, out of these three organizations that support recreation and programming in town, one of them to have 3 times the budget of the other two. So if you could reiterate that with Heather, I'd appreciate.
I will do that.
All right. Any comments?
Just that I know that there are requirements when you're part of a regional library system that you have to have so much spending per year. In order to maintain membership of the, the regional system. So I'm sure that's part of the constraint that they're dealing with, but I agree with, your concept of we shouldn't be the one charging fees. If they shouldn't be looking up at us as being the only one who's able to have fees, and then therefore we don't need as much of the annual operating budget.
Right.
So, I think you're right. I think there needs to be more parity there.
Yeah, and that's the goal. But if that's the case for the library, and I think I think the library is required to fund at 2.5%, which is, but it doesn't mean, so maybe this year that the budget is tight, they have focused on that, but in previous years where we have had money available, their current budget now is 11,000, and Parks and Recreation and the senior center is 5,000. So, and we're serving different needs, and I think that's what's important. All right, so that's what I had for budget. Do you have anything else coming up, Chris?
Nothing worthwhile we're talking about at the moment.
Okay, if we could skip one line so I can let you go, Chris. Karen, can you talk to us about the Town Beach housework? What is your planning?
I can talk to you about it. I can't say that I have a solid plan yet. The fall got away from me, so that didn't happen. I guess I need to come up with a better timeline of what will work in my schedule. So let me do this. Chris, can I catch up with you in the next week or so? And maybe run my thoughts by you on a timeline, and you can tell me if you think it's doable or not.
Yeah, that'll work. I would like to get started sooner than later, but at the
Yeah.
same time, we don't have a working bathroom in there, so try to balance it with one that doesn't
Yeah.
freeze.
How about, I'll send you an email, but maybe one day early next week would work for me, so.
Yeah, at least get us on the same page.
Yeah, now that since it's fresh in my memory, I'll grab my email right now and I'll send something off to you just to see what your availability is.
Sounds good.
Great, thanks, Chris.
Thank you. Does anyone else have anything for Chris Ruth? He has a toddler at home, so I always like to. No, Karen, are you all set with
Yeah.
Chris? Okay.
I want to just reiterate to Chris the concern that I have around
Regarding?
of the town beach staff this year. Chris, I have a feeling a lot of our young college students are opting to go elsewhere next year. So I just want to make sure that somebody, whether it be you or Angela or both of you together, somebody is staying on top of these positions. Because if the number that I'm thinking is not coming back, we could be up a creek, because we have not had a lot of applicants in the past. So I just want to reiterate again that my concern on that, and that, hopefully somebody can make sure they're really paying attention to this as we move through the spring.
Sounds good. I know Angela's been all over it, and I apologize for not having a better update at the moment, but I will track it down.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Chris, good night, and thank you for stopping by.
All right, thanks a lot. If anything comes up, just shoot me an email.
All right,
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.
all right. All right, next item on the agenda, which I skipped one, is skate park. So I just want to give an update on where we are. The skate park group agreed to, in order to, they had agreed to put on the agreement that the concrete would meet ACI standards. And talking with Greg for Anita's suggestion, he said the standard in the industry is that you have a third party do material testing. And they have agreed to do 4 testings within the period. And they're gonna have 15 truckload, they expect to be about 15 truckloads of cement. The 4 tests going to be done randomly within the trucks, not all the same day. And I ran some, of course, the web, there is always things you can test. So that would be a 75% confidence level. So with a 30% error of margin with 4 trucks and 15. So I felt like, if it's not, and because it's random, I felt like confident with those numbers.
Mhm.
And that is a statistic way to do that measurement. That is a tool on the web. But it's because the total number is small enough to have a 95% confidence level that you would want to have. You'd need to pretty much do 12 tests.
Mm.
And, it's enough of a, 75% confidence level with the 30% of margin of error. Doesn't, with 4 tests, you think the 4 would catch one of those. So I don't know, that's how the logic that I have in my head. But I want to make sure that you all are
Yeah, I feel comfortable with that.
I think everybody involved in this project wants to see it successful. I think that, the people that are building it,
Exactly.
The town team that's invested a lot of years and time into this, like everyone wants it to be successful. I think everyone, people that are designing it, their name is on the line as well. So
Right.
I have plenty of confidence in the
Exactly.
fact that what's going in is going to be.
Did Chris Ruth weigh in on that?
Yeah, I'm still here on it. I actually
Oh,
heard that
okay.
conversation start, so if I may.
Yeah, please.
So industry standard for testing concrete is 1 test for every 50 cubic yards. A concrete truck's 10 to 11 yards, depending on the mix. And in my experience, if you do 1 test, the concrete company knows you're watching and they're a lot more honest with what they send you and you're usually covered. That being said, if it's 4 trucks in one day and you only test 1 of them, you've still tested the same batch of concrete that they made at the plant. So even though it's not every truck, the only thing you need to pay attention to at that time is how long the concrete has been in the truck and temperatures. And they'll be early summer, so we won't be up against the high temp issues. So I'm fairly confident with that much testing, we'll be in real good shape.
Oh, perfect. Okay. That's good. That's good to know. So if it's, let's say it's 10 yards, 15 trucks, 150, and you said you do a testing every 50, so that would round it to 3. So that means, yeah, that's perfect. Okay, no, that was really good feedback, Chris, thank you. Because, I went through probability, but you actually know what happens. Awesome, okay.
I've had it go well, and I've had concrete companies come back and jackhammer the stuff out. So it's an important step that they do it.
Okay, appreciate that. The other thing that's happening with the skate park is, I got feedback from them that they have, based on the requirements, the insurance requirements that the town requested and town council. We didn't give the town any feedback on insurance requirements because we felt like it was a little bit out of our lane. They didn't find any company to insure the project. And there was there's some back and forth between their council and town council. I know from business experience, whenever you create a contract, if you're a buyer, you make a buyer contract. If you're a seller, you make a seller contract. I don't know if rightly so, the town council was overzealous about the numbers, the requirements of the insurance. And they didn't push back at the time, and maybe now they need to do some renegotiation of that. I don't necessarily blame town council for being, looking for more. I did email town council and ask him for an update of what's going on, exactly what terms that they were asking. You all have the copy of the contract. So if you want to take a look and give your own feedback, I'll take it. But it could be that that agreement that you have might be modified for that as well. And with the goal of pushing this forward and signing this contract for the sake of the skate park group. The only two pending things they're different from the contract that I shared with you all is the number of tests are not there and the insurance amount likely will change or the parameters of the insurance.
Mhm.
Will the group be comfortable that if town council is comfortable with the new insurance number or conditions, I can go ahead and sign it because they just need the chair's signature? Or do you need to further review it?
No, I think town council knows the things that we're concerned about, and I feel comfortable with them having the final review.
Yeah, we motioned last meeting to allow him to speak on our behalf, I think, so.
Yeah, we did. It's
I'm comfortable with that.
Okay.
Certainly, it's more in his lane than it is mine.
right, right.
You know,
Right. It's just, I shared a contract and I said, this is what the contract is, minus this variations. So I just want to bring any changes to the group.
Mhm.
Karen, do you have any thoughts?
No, I'm good with that.
Okay, so if town council is, we don't need another vote because we already had a vote that I can proceed with the current contract.
Mhm.
Yep.
I will reach out to town council again, see if we can get a resolution. And I honestly think it's probably something similar to, town council might have been overzealous. He might look at it and say, yeah, we can probably change things a bit. All right,
the documents, we couldn't see if it was.
yeah, I usually glance over those things. All right. Town beach fees. So I did add a copy of the town beach fees. This is what we charged. We changed these, I think, Karen, is this 22 or 21?
I'm actually pulling it up right now, so.
Okay. I wrote 22 because I remember I was part of it.
And I have to apologize, I had promised to reach out to Lancaster before we had this discussion, and I did not get that done. So my apologies to the commission.
Well, it's
Didn't pass.
fine.
All right, so while Karen looks, if I wasn't sure if it was 2022 or 2021 when we established these
I
fees.
don't think it changed in the last couple of years, I think.
Right,
I think it was
so
in
it's-
one of the minutes that I reviewed. I thought it said they hadn't changed in a couple of years.
If I remember the conversation we were having 2 meetings ago, I think it was.
Right.
Part of what we were concerned about was making sure that we were competitive with other towns. One of the concerns we had was about what we should be charging for non-residents. And the other thing was, how does the cost of what we charge for the swim lessons play into what we require families to purchase for passes each
Right.
year?
Karen, on my packet, I did not add the value for non-residents. Do you have that?
No, yeah, so,
In the minutes from December, we said that Karen made a note that, the past 3 years have been
So it's
these
probably
fees.
okay,
$5 for adults, with three, they included 3 children, 15 and under, seniors were $2. Non-residents were 10 per adult, that included 3 children, 15 and under, non-resident seniors were 5 per senior. Resident family passes are 65, non-resident family passes are 80. Resident individual 44, non-resident individual 60.
non-resident individual, okay.
25 for senior pass, and 35 for non-resident.
Chris got that.
Non-resident family is 80, so,
Non-resident family was 80, resident individual 44,
mhm.
non-resident individual 60. 25 for senior pass, and 35 for a non-resident senior pass.
So here's, so there's budget issues everywhere in Massachusetts. And I have a business in Westford, and they're coming across a big override. One thing that, I heard in one of their meetings is they wanted their Parks and Recreation Department to become self-funded. Right now, they actually provide a lot more than we do. They provide aftercare and before care on top of Wildenbush, which they have, so they have a lot of offers. But the Park and Recs offer before and after care at the schools, which they have, I think, 6 or 8 schools. And last year for beach revenue, we collected about 13,000. That's between all the passes. The year before, the cost of lifeguards was about 24,000. Usually the difference. Sorry, there's one more line item. The town budgets $20,000 for salaries for Town Beach. So the extra money that we get for the sales goes to offset the salaries and maintenance of the facility. So my thought is I'd like to do small incremental changes to prices. The pressure of a budget is always going to be there. I think this is a very specialized service that we offer. And the swim lasts is 25 per session, right, Karen?
How'd you have to ask that?
No, let's see, lesson fees are 25 per child and 75 per family.
Yeah.
Per
For
session.
Per session, yeah. So with the thoughts of, budget pressures, what would be very detrimental, I think, is we don't know if these budget pressures will go away. We are, the money that we collect covers this, does not cover the salaries. And we have $20,000 from it, but it could be that at some point, and it's going to be level funded again, it has been level funded for 4 years. If we don't make small incremental changes, it could be a year that we won't be funded that $20,000 and we don't have a structure to keep the Town Beach open. My suggestion is for us to look at these numbers and choose a path of small incremental changes to try to get us closer, a little more past the 13,000, just a little more, just so that if we get to a point where we lose funding, maybe we can open part-time, maybe we can open on weekend, but we'll have a revenue model to support staying open until we can get that again.
What are you thinking? Are you thinking 2% annually increase or what?
When we did the residential, the day passes, I was the one who proposed this just because when you're a mom, you don't want to be thinking like how many kids I have, just make it simple. And we went for $5 because it was easy. You think about going there. I don't think percentage here is necessarily, I don't think, because the numbers are not big, percentage, I don't think is the best thing, because 2% on, 65 would be $1.30, so now it's 66. We could, but then 2% on $5 is $5.10. I can only imagine that being a nightmare at Town Beach. So one thing we can do is, let's bump up $1.50 on let's focus on the daily pass. And maybe the swim lessons, which that's a service, it's small increment. And then next year we'll bump it up. There is the season passes, just small increments. And the fear is if we don't do anything and we don't have a revenue model, if budget gets tougher, we lose, we close, much harder to reestablish. And this money stays with Park, so it's used for the benefit of Town Beach. Last year, we fixed the Town Beach house with an accumulation of the fees that we had collected over the many years. It was $37,000 of that, which it needed. And as you can see, it's not a lot, so it was really over 5 years that.
I agree with that concept. I like approaching an increase on the daily pass versus the resident season passes, because I think that residents are typically more likely to go with the season pass.
Yep,
And so let's not attack that yet, so I'd be fine with making a modest increase to the daily pass
okay,
for both residents and non-residents.
okay. I think.
So, and I agree with everything that you said, Anna, and Anita has said. So, in looking at the swim lessons, what if we haven't increased those in a while, and I mean, I obviously do think that there's a lot of value to the swim lessons and what they offer.
Right.
So I don't want to price people out, but I'm wondering what people thought of maybe going even to $30 per child per session. So 30, 60, 90 versus 25, 50, 75.
I think that's good.
Yes,
So what is it? 30,
So 30
60?
per student, capped at $90 per family.
Okay,
I mean, that comes out to be about $3 per lesson.
Is that I mean, the thing that we want, that with the swim lessons, we want them to be self-funded, so does that take care of that? I
So,
think that's the biggest piece, like, we're providing that service, that should be self-funded. I'd rather see us look at non-resident pricing and not resident pricing, I'd rather see us take a look at, money coming in from other towns that wanna use the town beach as opposed to putting the burden on the citizens of Lunenburg. Just, that's my 2 cents, but I do think the swim lesson should be self-funded, so whatever that cost is to have the swim lesson self-funded, that's what that should be.
so. To say that those two are self-funded, there's different ways to provide the service. So if you're a swim instructor, you're gonna go down to Hickory Hills Lake, because they used to hire their own swim teacher. You're charging probably $100 to go there for 2 hours. Because, you're just hiring someone to do it at one time. We provide a different type of service where we hire coaches, swim instructors that then we provide them a full-time job or, so it's not one-to-one.
I'll just base it on the notes from the minute, like,
Right.
reading the minutes again and so forth, and that was the comment that was made, that we want the swim lessons to be self.
Right, so,
How do we define that?
right,
And then does 30, 60, 90 take care of that?
it does.
I think that
Go
it does.
ahead.
I'm running numbers right now, Chris, and I think that it does. I mean, I don't know exactly how many kids are in each class because sometimes it depends on the age of the participants, but let's say there's roughly, say 5 kids in each class. We're charging $30 at a child and there's 5 kids in the class. That brings in $150 for those 10 sessions. That comes to be about $15 per day. So I think it does, and I think it covers I think it comes close, if not over covers a little bit of the lifeguard salary, but it also, if we have, because here's the other tricky part too, is you never know how many families are gonna register for over three kids, so it gives that little bit of extra coverage. We're not making money off of it, even charging $30.
And that to do the swim lessons, they have to have a pass as well, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. And our sessions is 2 weeks as well, so,
That's just
yeah,
I'm okay with increasing the cost of swim lessons. And that by definition, that also increases the cost to those families we're either for the pass or for the.
oh, for the season pass, okay.
Whatever, like those families are feeling some sort of increase.
Okay, yeah,
Right now, just given budgetary discussions and everything else in town, I'm very conscious and so forth. We provide I think a nice service in town for parents to escape with their kids, to go to the beach. It's a great service that we provide. I just would rather see that, if we're gonna look at increases, I'd rather see that passed on to the, the 2,800 we had in non-resident passes
Sure.
and increase,
So,
and increase that level in some.
no, I think that's a good relationship that you did, that the season pass holders are the families, most of the time are the families who swim. I do wanna make some small increment to the day passes, because I think those are really good prices. And, especially, and I don't wanna, I think the structure helps. Also for information, we had within this, how many weeks were we open, Karen? Maybe 9 at the most, we had so much rain. We had over 2,700 people that visited the town beach. So everyone who comes, even as a family, they each have an individual card and it gets scanned.
Mhm.
And I thought that was remarkable, the number of people that came in a fairly small operation that we have. It's in terms of individuals, it was close to 800 different individuals of those. So in average, people came, at least 3 to 4 times, and I thought that was really good.
It is.
So I actually want to throw a couple ideas. I would say $1 on the daily pass, and the non-residential will keep the same ratio. So it'll go adults with 3 children goes to 6. Additional children's 3, children, 16 to 18 is 3. Like, if you're a teenager, you can go there by yourself and you're paying $3. And 3 for senior. And the non-residents, we keep it at the same ratio, which would be 12, which is double, and instead of 10. And then we had 2 and 5, so we can go 6, whereas 3. So it'd be something for residents daily pass, $6 for an adult and 3 children. Additional children is $3. Children 16 to 18 years of age is $3, and seniors is $3. Non-residents is $12, an adult with 3 kids. $6 additional children, $6 children 16 to 18, and $6 seniors. I think we keep the same ratio, and like you said, Chris, I really like that. We're not, people that are doing the family pass, they're not being double whammed.
I'd still just rather see us pass the buck, if you will, to non-residents and not to the citizens.
So not make a change on the resident daily pass?
I would prefer not to make a change on resident daily passes right now. But I'm in favor for increasing non-resident at 12, $12, $7.50, whatever is 12, 6 and 6, whatever we want to decide on the non-resident side. I just my personal sort of.
The only
Yeah,
the only counter argument I'll make to you on that is a day pass to Orchid Hills is $10. So we are,
I get it, I understand that people are, that's to go pay a premium to go to Orchard Hills, or I can get a membership at the Groton Country Club, or I can do, whatever, I get it, I'm gonna spend $400 this year for a golf membership for my kid to go play golf at Groton, I get it, I just a personal sort of deal, I think we pay a lot in this town for a lot of things.
so
And I'd
one of
rather
the,
not see it passed on to the residents at this point, but I'd rather
here's the thing.
start by going to the non-resident side, increasing the swim lesson costs, and then go to the non-resident side this year, and then look at it. And then we can come back next year and kind of
So
see.
this email, we charge a lot for residents, but this email is all about how the money is not coming to parks and is not going to recreation, generally speaking.
Right.
So it's not a question of how much we are paying, it is you want to provide recreation in a sustainable way, in an incremental way. I think $1 raise, the advantage of that is we stay in the same ratio. We know that's what we are carrying on, is always double. I don't think it's cost prohibitive. I, I'd like to do that dollar bump, but that's me. Anita, what's your thoughts?
I think that the dollar increase is, well, you know, I understand where you're coming from, Chris. I do think that we've been keeping these rates for several years now.
21, yeah.
And you know, yes, times are hard, but I don't think it's unreasonable to ask an extra $1 for each of the categories for this year. I like that we're doing a major bump up on the non-resident side, but, you know, thinking back to, to family and times that we bought day passes, I don't think asking an additional $1 is unreasonable at this point.
But Karen, what are your thoughts?
I agree that I don't think it's unreasonable. I think another way to maybe look at it, Chris, counter argument, I guess, would be that we're increasing the cost of swim lessons that require a season's pass. So those people are already, those families are already incurring a little bit of a charge up for what we're offering. I totally understand the not wanting to overcharge people, especially residents. I don't think we're doing that. And I think by bumping up the resident daily rate, I think everybody's sort of paying a little bit more for that service that they're able to take advantage of. I'm in support of it, and I'm in support of the raising the non-resident rates to what, $12, 6 and 6 or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm in support of that.
Okay.
And I did look, so when I first came on, just to give people a little bit of a very quick background on this, when I first came on the commission 7 years ago, the price for swim lessons hadn't changed. It was incredibly low. And even with us bumping it up right now, I looked real quick to see what, say, the town of Holden was offering, because I knew their swim lesson prices were up. They charge $50. $50, and I think their younger kids are at $40. So, we're still under what I think many communities around us are charging. So, I'm good with the swim lesson rates going up as well.
Okay.
I would hope, I would really hope that if there is a resident in town who thinks that they need swim lessons and they absolutely positively can't afford it, I would hope that there would be a discussion had with the beach director, and then she could open up a discussion with the rest of us if those concerns arise. I would hope that kind of conversation is happening, so that if people feel like we are pricing them out, they're speaking up and providing that feedback, whether directly to us or to our beach director.
That's good. All right, I think for this, we need a motion, right, Karen? What you did before?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
I'll move that we make the following changes, that for the season passes, we keep them the same. For the daily passes for residents, we increase the adults with 3 kids to $6. The additional children gets increased to $3. Children 16 to 18 gets increased to $3. Seniors gets increased to $3. For non-residents, the adults with 3 children becomes 12. The additional children is 6. Children 16 to 18 is now 6, and seniors is now 6.
And the swim lesson.
And the swimming lessons, we're going to increase to the 30 per child and 60 and 90.
Yeah, a maximum per family per 90.
Yeah.
Okay, can I have a second?
I'll second that.
All right, roll call, Karen,
Aye.
Anita,
Aye.
Chris,
No.
and I for myself. The motion passes. All right, so the next item on the agenda is request of change address for Marshall Park from Chestnut Street to Mass Ave. So if you search Marshall Park on Google Maps, it shows 100 Chestnut Street. If you search for Marshall Park on Apple Maps, it shows the parking lot of the church. I think, the residents of Chestnut Street, they are impacted by the traffic of people coming to 100 Chestnut Street. I think we're gonna help alleviate some of that traffic if we ask the town to officially go through the process of changing the address. So that is the reason for that. Also, Mass Ave we're trying to make Marshall Park a destination with the changes that we're making. Mass Ave is a known street that I think if we make the change official and people are thinking, where is Marshall Park? And they Google and they see an address on Mass Ave, they'll have more confidence that they'll find that location. So those are my reasons for thinking of that. And I'm wondering if this group has any thoughts, if they would support something like that.
I have a lot of,
Say it again?
I have a lot of thoughts. This is an absolute no-brainer.
Oh, okay.
I can't tell you.
That's the only thought you need.
That's the,
only
I
thought you
mean,
need.
honestly, because,
Motion? Do you need a motion?
yeah, that's,
Yeah.
it's a no-brainer to me.
Okay, any
I'll
discussion?
make a motion to pursue the change to
Okay.
Mass Ave.
How
I will
about you, Anita?
second that.
As a resident of Chestnut Street, I say yes.
Okay, how come nobody ever thought of this?
Anna, now you're making me feel really stupid because as you're saying that, I'm going, why didn't I make that
I don't
recommendation?
think they ever realized that the address was Chestnut Street.
I think it's because we've been applying so much for grants, because the bus was originally,
Yeah,
It
and
was
I've always known that, and I've always said they go there because
They
that's
realized
the address that is out there under Chestnut, and then they get there, they don't know where to park, so they park along the road.
right,
Whereas
and
if we
even
give them,
with the renovations, most of the parking is going to be right off of Mass Ave.
Mhm.
So out of the 130 spots, I think 90 plus is there, so it would make it easier for people.
It will.
All right, so Chris made a motion, can I have a second?
Second.
All right, Karen Menard,
Aye.
Anita,
Aye.
Chris?
Aye.
And an aye for myself. All right, moving on. Lunenburg Night at Whalen Park. Okay, so I was thinking and imagining a way to, we no longer have the town fair or any community event.
You trick or treat at the apartment.
Yeah, now I wasn't thinking that, but one thing I was thinking is, maybe like a lot of these things used to happen with volunteers, but we are getting bigger, and I think some of like these organizations, recreation department, can take on upon this. And there won't be any action on this. It's more of an idea of exploring. But what I thought about it was Lake Ave, which is right in front of, on the rocks and the apartments there.
Mhm.
One side is business and the residential. The other side is completely open. I thought it would be really cool if we have a fair day there, a weekend fair, kind of like, and talking to some old timer residents, there used to be on on the Whalen Park, they used to do the Lunenburg Night at Whalen Park. And so the idea here is to start exploring how to put a fair or something, and I'd love if we keep it the theme of Whalen Park. And we can start with a small event, just a fair, mostly like community-based. Like I went to a fair in Somerville and they had closed Broadway, both sides. And it was mostly community. They had some vendors, mostly food, but it was really just like the city advertising city services, and they had different booths. The health department was there, the libraries were there, really just make a community event.
So Groton does Groton Fest,
Yeah,
every September.
exactly.
Which I think is well attended. They did the carnival, they did the Whalen Park Carnival last year at Leominster, which I didn't hear great reviews about.
Oh, okay.
I heard it was expensive and not a lot there, and I didn't go, so
Right.
that was kind of the feedback I was hearing. But I'd love to see some, kind of.
Parking, what do we do about parking?
So I have thought about a lot of this, and I have also explored some ideas. So parking, if it's one day event, one, we can use the parks that we have around. We can also contact some business and institution like the City United Church up the street. And if it's a day event, we can probably run shuttles similar to the Bolton Fair. Like Bolton Fair used to be across the street and now is up the road and they run. So I thought we can, if it's a day event, we can probably run a shuttle back and forth when we designate. I was talking with the Lincolns, and the place right next to El Forno used to be a staging place for Whalen Park. And that place is still open, so maybe we can, and the owners of that property are the owners of the apartments. But that's also a location, I mean, again, back to Bolton Fair, we used to park on the hill there, you just gotta line that up. And then, so that was my solution for parking, and it would be a doable event if it's a day event. And the reason I say that is because I was exploring what do we do outside food trucks and vendors. And I thought of, wait for this, fireworks at Whalen Lake. That'd be awesome.
Ka-ching, ka-ching.
I looked into it because I did. But more, so I looked into that. It's a non, if you're not doing it during the high peak, which is around July 4th, with the bars and everything included, a good fireworks show would be about $12,000. Not incredibly cost prohibitive, because a lot of these vendors that come, usually they pay a fee to the organization putting together. You can also get sponsors to some of these things. Further exploring the idea, Apple Blossom Festival in Westford, the group that organizes them, I know them. We could theoretically get a small carnival on Lake Avenue. The only trouble with that is if you, and they actually do a share. So for Apple Blossom Festival it's a carnival with some rides. We definitely have enough space on Lake Avenue. The thing is, they want to be there for the weekend. So they start on Friday and they go all the way into Sunday. So the logistics on that make it a little harder. But they pay for half of the fireworks. They pay for half of the porta parties, and the Kiwanis Club, they get a cut of their gross sales. So these things are self-sustaining to a point. And then they usually have Enterprise Bank, which is their local bank, pays for the other half of the fireworks. So that is a way to explore this. I think getting the carnival in the first year might be tough. However, if we get enough, if we plan this from a revenue side, if we plan, what is kind of vendors we want to have there. I mean, the place in Somerville, which was on Broadway, the restaurants right there were selling, there are 2-3 restaurants on Lake Avenue that can also become sponsors, because we're bringing a lot of public to that area. A solution around until we figure out what we do with the carnival, because they want to set up for 3 days, is we can rent smaller rides, like a bouncy house or, a slide and something like that. But, kick off something new. And the idea is my thought is maybe start something small. You definitely need to have a main attraction. So I think the fireworks would definitely be the main attraction. So we can probably start something like, I don't know the time, but end with fireworks, do it one day, work it out, the logistics, and see how much you can grow from that.
The concept is interesting. I think, obviously it's nothing that we would be able to put together in this year, but if we were looking to perhaps do something well-planned for next year, it might be feasible.
Yeah, and the other thought too was, can we get other groups involved in putting this together, like the Historical Society, to bring in the, flavor of a Whalen.
What is the whole Whalen Commission, right? There's that Whalen Park, I don't.
I know what
they
you're
call
talking
themselves, but they're the ones that kind of put this on.
Yeah.
There's a Lions Club in town.
There's a Lions Club, so there might be enough for able to do where we can bring
Sounds
this
very
group.
300th anniversary.
That's what I was thinking, exactly.
So funny
It's
enough,
on the line, we were talking to Lincoln, I'm sure you're talking about that
So-
300th anniversary.
so I've been thinking about this for a while, and I was trying to get information about it. So I wanted to know how things work and how much things cost. So I definitely did my due diligence. And the Lincolns talked with me. I don't know how I was talking to Lincolns, but I was. And I was actually at the last meeting for the 300th anniversary because Debbie asked me to come and talk about this idea.
It's coaching basketball.
I know. And what I told them is, putting these smaller events together before the 300th anniversary is a good way to work out the logistics on how to put a big event together. And they love the idea. So I think there will be another group that would help us put this together.
Okay.
So what are your thoughts, Karen?
Well, she ran this by me when this grand idea popped into her head and I thought she was nuts. I think it's a good idea. I guess I worry about biting off more than we can chew and not having the bandwidth to help in getting it done. I mean, if we can pull together a well-organized group of people that are willing to step in and execute this, I think it's a great idea. I guess I'm not 100% sure how it would work on the lakefront, but I think that it's, something worth looking into.
So my thought is hopefully we're increasing the hours for Angela. And she can, it's hard to do these things and having a full-time job, but maybe there is a way to have where we divide the work where Angela is kind of the point person and can two different people doing different things. And we can all take like whoever we bring on board on working this out, we can take one leg of the process and run with it. And that's how I thought it could be, because being the organizer, if you're not having this as if you're not living in this world, it's harder to transition. And it could technically be another source of, the other thing I honestly think about this is, if we do it right, this could be another source of revenue for Parks and Recreation, for us to provide more recreation for the town. Because at the end of the day, all these organizations, they put this together, they have a positive revenue at the end of the time.
Quick thought is that, talking about having our, rec director be part of it. When we voted to try to increase her hours, it was because we already knew that she was overwhelmed with her existing duties. So I'd be afraid that if we asked her to be a point person, that it would be just more that she just couldn't efficiently handle.
So I think that's important to evaluate, even if it's, especially after, hopefully she will get those hours and we'll have a taste of her workload with her hours before we bite something else.
Yeah.
But this is the kind of idea that you need to start talking about to
Yeah.
see what kind of interest we have. Okay. So that was it. Go ahead, Karen.
I need to jump back to your beach fees for a second as soon as you're done with this topic. I didn't
Yeah,
know.
that was it. I just wanted to
Okay.
share the idea and start socializing the idea to see if people are interested, and there's no action on it. Go ahead.
All right, so I just want to send Angela an email with all of our updated fees and stuff. I just want to make sure we're staying with the following definitions. So for beach pass purposes, a family is defined as 2 adults and 3 children under the age of 18 in the same address. Additional dependents up to 2 living under the same roof are $5 per person to add on. And a senior is defined as anyone over the age of 60. And an individual is defined as anyone ages 3 and above. And a
The
child.
minutes said 15 and under.
Say again, Chris?
The minutes that will approve later say, including 3 children, 15 years.
Right, but this is for, this isn't for the daily passes. This is for, hold on a second.
Just for
This is
passes,
for-
not individual date.
This is for seasons passes. So a seasons pass, a family seasons pass is 2 adults and 3 children under the age of 18 living at the same address. If there's more than 3 children, additional dependents, it says up to 2 living under the same roof would be additional $5 per person. Are we staying with that? I just want to know what to tell Angela, because I feel like
Yeah.
last we did this and then somebody then asked me and I'm like, we didn't change it, so.
Yeah, I think, I don't think we need to change the definition. The only one that I'll say, I don't know if this is something we would want to consider. The Lunenburg Adult Activity Center, their age group now is 50. And I remember when we voted for 60 years old, we wanted to see what the town considers to be a senior. Now, I know for tax purposes, I think it's 65. But at the time, the Lunenburg residents, the Eagle House used to be 60, and then since then they have changed to 50. Is that something we want to do?
I think they have a different rationale
They do, okay,
because they're trying to bring in different demographics of younger individuals to be part of the programming, to make more
Okay.
diversity there.
okay,
That's a standard issue with many communities. But
It
I
makes
don't-
sense.
But I don't think we have that issue here.
okay. No, we don't. That's a good thought. I was just bringing up a thought, okay. I don't have any suggestion. I don't think necessarily need to change the definition of family.
No, I agree. Let's leave it for that. No.
Thank you.
Okay. So,
You wanna move?
yes, well, I was waiting. He said that he was waiting for a couple of people to come.
They might be on Zoom, I thought they were coming here.
Okay, because I was gonna move, I believe you're here to, for the, Lake Shirley parcels?
Yeah.
Okay, and then we can, mean, we have 22 items in our agenda today. But I was waiting to see if you heard people.
They go for it.
Okay, so-
They might be up there.
Okay,
You want me to
who
check
is
for
it?
everybody?
Who, do you know the name?
I think Joel is one of them.
Okay, so
Joel's here.
Joel's there.
Yeah, Joel's here.
Okay,
He's got a hand up.
yeah, all right, okay, Joel, do you have something to say?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I was hoping to make a comment at the beginning. I kind of thought that all town meetings would have an opening public comment, but I guess this one did not. So I was just quietly waiting.
Oh, okay, yeah, our public comment is on the end of our agenda.
Okay.
But what I can do is, are you interested in our Lake Shirley parcels discussion?
Yes, I am. Yes.
Okay, I can move things up in the agenda if no one is.
Yeah, let's move that in.
Okay, are you okay with that,
Pretty sure
Karen?
that's what you would-
Okay, all right, you are with Shady Point, correct?
Correct.
I was going to talk about the letter you sent to Michael Ray. Would you like to participate in that, to explain where you were, so I'm not giving second,
Yeah,
okay.
that's fine.
Uh,
I even brought one if anyone needs.
yeah, so why don't you join us, if that's okay, is that okay?
You have one?
Okay, but if you, I don't think the other members have it, if you wanna. So, for people that are not aware, I've seen this, so I'm gonna pass it on to,
Thank you.
I-
oh, you have one, okay.
Yeah.
So do you wanna join us on the table, so then you can, because I don't know if there's been any movement on this, and,
Well, we haven't heard from anybody, so.
okay.
So no.
No.
So, and it's good. All right, so the background on this information, so we can get to the jump, and tell me your name, please.
Chris.
Chris, okay. The Open Space Commission or committee has made a recommendation to the select board to pass 2 town parcels to Parks and Recreation in order for future development of lake access, Lake Shirley. And one of the things that has happened since that is this gentleman who just told me his name and I forgot.
Chris.
Chris, okay.
It is,
Chris.
is it defined?
I'm Poppin. I'm the grandson of the original.
Oh, okay, okay.
He sent a letter to the select board and I'll let you speak to it.
Yeah, so we heard about everything going on and our name, Shady Point's been brought up a couple of times at some meetings. My aunt was here for one of the meetings a while back and she offered, somebody to work with us and no one ever contacted us. And then the meeting, I think it was in January, you were at the town hall. Again, we got brought up, so we all talked and we came up with this,
Can you elaborate what's in here?
yeah,
people
so
that
you
can-
originally brought up that you kind of wanted a boat launch for carry-on, which is kayaks, canoes, rowboats and stuff. So what we're willing to do for the town is, for town residents, is open up our ramp for kayaks, non-motorized boats. And we have the facilities for trash, we have restrooms, we have someone on the ground 24 hours a day. We monitor our launch, so people can't launch after dusk, because kayaks shouldn't be in the water, because of no lights. We have had people do that, we toss them out, they go down to Stump Cove and launch.
Because it's very close to it.
Yes, yeah, so it's a good way for us to work with the town, work with you guys to get what you're looking for, and to leave Stump Cove, and in my opinion, there's too much vegetation, too much wildlife to stop messing with that. And I don't know how you would do that, but anywho, I think this would work great for everything that you guys are looking for. But then, when we offered this, you brought up that, now you're looking for picnic tables. And then, an elderly person with a motor, well, that's totally different.
Right, well, I think,
And then
right,
how would you monitor that? That comes into your budget thing, paying someone to sit there. So I think this just kind of, in a roundabout way, takes care of everything you're looking for. We do offer memberships to use the grounds for picnicking, for our swimming area as well.
do you mind if I ask you the cost of the membership?
I'm not the person for that. I wish
Okay.
I brought that paperwork, but I
Okay.
didn't. But we do offer it at a discount rate for Lunenburg residents. So I think we work well with Lunenburg on that as well.
Okay, so, is it okay if we have a back and forth conversation between us and, we have one member on,
Mhm.
okay. I know Mike Ray did initially reached out to you and said, is this something you'd be willing to put in writing?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you would be comfortable with that, so then it's set. Okay.
Yeah.
When we've been talking about it, we haven't, we have talked about possibilities and
Mhm.
during conversations, and that's one of the, what's, people want to know exactly what is gonna be done, and it's like, well, we haven't gone through the process yet to figure out. So it's not, I was talking about things that could, if we have that three Stump Cove lot, we have that 3 acre, some picnic tables and, seniors coming there and sitting by the lake on a hot day under a nice canopy of trees, I can see. So we have not gone through that process to figure out exactly what would be the case. But I like the idea of having something that we could provide immediate access to Lunenburg residents, because even if we move forward with this now, with the transfer, because we're doing Marshall, we have other priorities, this would not come to play for a while. We don't know when, because, everything's funding and budget. And anyway, so I'd love to, the reason this was on my agenda today was to also, I wasn't sure how far you had gone with Michael Wright, was to get some of these thoughts from the group,
Yeah.
what they would like to see, and I was gonna forward that information, but I'm happy to have some of that conversation with you.
Yeah.
Chris, do you have any thoughts? I mean, you have the letter.
I think this, simply, solves, at least some of what we were trying to accomplish. I'll start with the fact that I think there's an impression that there's a grander plan.
Yeah, it kind of, because it keeps
Yeah.
changing, so
And
I think it's making
and I-
everyone on the lake nervous.
So I think that's, and. Oh, there is no plan, and I'll go, but definitively, there is no plan. There is an open space committee, and their job is to take a look at land, and so when they make recommendations, and so they made a recommendation, and it's been. These parcels have been pieces that this commission has talked about in a very, very surface. Level, and not in any capacity of, let's put in a ramp, or let's do this, or let's do that, but can we look at these parcels, and is there service that could be provided to town residents. That would give them access to public lake in Lunenburg.
Yeah.
And that's really been the extent of the discussion. I'm not an advocate. I know at the select board meeting, there was a discussion or comment made by one of the select board members that, well, we can go investigate and do whatever we want. And think about building a plan for that. I'm not in favor of wasting taxpayer money to survey land or anything else for land that's not under our care and custody. It's not our job. I think it's a waste of money. That's if the select board wants to pursue it, then that's where the land is under their care and custody. That's where that should come from. But I think there is I would like to see some sort of general public access to Lake Shirley, and I think this solves a lot of that. I'd love to, continue to see, seeing the land now, that walkthrough a couple weeks ago was the first time I had actually been on those.
Yeah.
I've driven by the Parmenter properties. My friend's son lives out that way. I think that, seeing the land now, like in particular Stump Cove area, like I think there is opportunity for, a picnic table or whatever, like a small, kind of like we're talking about on the edge of
Marshall.
Marshall Pond, like a small, just like an overlook,
Right.
what have you, kind of deal. I don't see, I think this solves the boat launch aspect. I don't know anything about the water in that area. I've heard a lot of comments about, the weeds and the stumps and this and that and.
Yeah, that.
Certainly,
I just heard it that weekend. That
Yeah,
area is
so
really tough anyways.
I'll defer to people that are on the lake and know that area, and if it's not a good area to launch a boat, it's, maybe it's not a good area to launch a boat, or even a surface, kayak or paddleboard, or, what have you, kind of deal, and this is a space that we could do that. So,
We offer obviously off-street parking as well. We have plenty of property for that. We have a few Lunenburg residents that do come, but honestly, there's not a lot of call for it. There's not a lot of people that are.
and that's kind of the bigger thing that I like all along in my brain, when I look at these parcels, I don't see this as being all of a sudden this a massive influx of.
Well, the thing is, why we're offering is it will impact, obviously, us.
Sure, no,
You know,
100%,
because-
yeah.
And it will impact the lake huge, because once you start putting in anything that remotely looks like a launch, anything.
Yeah.
You're going to get the jet skis launching.
Yeah.
Fishing boats launching, and the jet skis is where everyone's problems is throughout the state, not just this lake.
Sure.
And we're able to control that. And the second that launch goes in, we're going to lose control. So then,
And again,
I think that's what's scaring the lake residents the most is. The second you put something in there that resembles a picnicking area
Yeah.
or a launch, you're gonna open up a very big can that this town probably won't be ready for.
Mhm.
Cause that'll put a lot of stress on the police department too.
This solves, I think, the launch deal for me,
Yeah.
I'm fine with this, and I think when we were there, you said like a 10-year.
Yeah, so Jeffrey said, cause we didn't even think of that when we were.
Yeah, it was, it's just.
We said that we'd go as long as, we'll do 10 years, as long as obviously. Shady Point, ourselves, Lake Shirley, the residents of lakefront properties are all respected, because you obviously, you can't get off your kayak on someone else's property.
Sure.
So once we start getting those complaints, well, they look at us on that. So if that becomes a big problem, we have to meet with you guys, the police department and everything, and we may have to take that back. We wouldn't want to though, so we have to work with that. So that'd be something that we're willing to add into this, so it's in writing.
Yeah, I think that's, I mean, that's my take.
And we're only putting 10 years on, just to make sure it's good. I'm willing to, after that 10 years, another 10 years, yeah, exactly.
It's fine, and also maybe that leads to memberships for you guys and.
Yeah, you never know.
All that kind of deal, which is fine as well, like
Yeah,
I've never been to the ground, I think maybe my kids have been to the Boys and Girls Club maybe or something.
yeah, we try to do stuff with them.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
that-
because we don't have lifeguards like you guys are finding, it's hard to get, so.
Yeah.
We can't have the Boys and Girls Club come with.
Yeah.
Lifeguard.
Yeah.
So,
Anita, do you have any thoughts?
No, I agree with, what Chris said. I think that, maybe sometime in the future, we could look at something more formal, but, realistically, it would be years before, we would be able to get any funding to even do a thorough analysis of what legitimately could be done at Stump Cove or anywhere else. So I think this is a wonderful offer, and I think, we really should promote this.
Okay. Karen, what are your thoughts? Are you muted? You don't have anything?
I don't
Oh,
have
there you go.
anything.
There she goes. Nice job. Oh, you're muted again.
You don't?
I
oh.
don't have anything.
Okay. So. Like the thought, my vision is, a bunch of people holding hands, singing Kumbaya, like you saw today, I think about how to have fun, get the, talking about fireworks and Lake Whalen, the way to bring community together. I hadn't, thinking of the Stump Cove in particular, within my dreams, how, like me alone sitting, in a bed alone, I would love to have the MARC bus bringing down the seniors for a hot day, to sit there by the water and, enjoying that. It's really a community use. So I love what's in here, and I see what's not here. As the same token, which is just what I was saying. And so, one thing that I have is I wanna, so parking is included. If someone comes in with a car, they can pull, and I think about this because of me, like, I'm not very tall. I cannot put a kayak on top of a car.
Yeah,
I have a 61 bug. Do you know how short those cars are? I cannot put my kayak on top of it. I need to, either put it on the trunk of a car or have a small trailer. Not a big trailer, but, there are people that are
right.
not very physically able, they cannot put something. So, is parking included?
We
with
have,
it?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, so it would offer the off-street parking, and again, we have boats, trailers and stuff around, so we're used to trailers, it's not that big of a deal.
And it's really just for the less physical able people who cannot put a,
Right,
the other thing that I thought was, I think, I think it would be better if the town manages who is a town resident. Just so that it's clean, since there's a benefit that's coming through the town. These are my thoughts, and we have never discussed this as a group, so someone might come back and disagree with me, so just, because I wouldn't want you to have the burden of someone coming to you and say, I'm a town resident, and you having to figure that out.
Excuse me, I have a question. So if
Well,
the
I'm gonna
town is,
open, I'm gonna open for public comment and questions once I'm done elaborating. If you could hold on to your question for a moment.
okay, thank you.
Thank you. So, just so that it's clear of what is, we know that, and it could be, people get a sticker that they can put in their car. But I would just feel like I would know that the town residents, if they're true residents, they are getting that benefit, and we have an insight on that. And again, these are not thoughts or ideas that I have shared with the group, so we haven't had a discussion of, is that really real? The other question that I have was, I know there are kayaks for two people. They come in, is it a per car thing? Is it a per, like?
well, like, the memberships that we did offer, it was per car, so if you
Okay.
could put 20 kayaks on a car, have fun, come on in.
Okay.
No big deal.
Okay.
And with all they have to do is either we can line something up with the library or something like that, or just show us your license. Your license is gonna say Lunenburg on it. Or, so it's really not that.
Well, I can see seniors that don't have sometimes they have someone driving them, it sounds simple, but sometimes it's not, especially.
Well, we're
when you
not
have to
like,
expend.
crazy, like strict and everything, so if a senior comes to us and says, I'm a Lunenburg resident, I'm here to use the kayak spot,
Can they put in my canoe?
sure, go for it, yeah. That's not,
So your membership is structured per car load.
our memberships, when we give them a membership, when someone buys it, we
Yeah.
print them out cards, so that's how
Okay.
we know that their membership.
We have memberships to Town Beach
Right.
where is a card.
Right, and again, we could do something like that with, say, the library. Or even they just come up to the office, whoever wants a kayak, and we print them out the membership. Like fishing boats, they get a tag for their rear view mirror, so they just put the tag on there, they don't have to come to us. They can go down to the launch.
Okay. All right. All
That
right.
sounds like a small issue to,
Yeah.
you know, to figure
Yeah.
out.
Yeah, so I think that'd be an easy one to
Yeah.
get around and.
Yeah, well, I didn't know that Mike Ray hadn't followed up with him because I was very excited.
Yeah,
And my thought in our meeting today was, if you were part of the negotiations with them, what would you be thinking about it?
Mhm.
And these are the things I was thinking about it.
Mhm.
And, if Michael Ray, I know he's really busy because he has a full-time job and
yeah,
maybe.
he offered for us to come to a meeting, I think it's.
Next week?
Next week, I think.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think it is, so I'll be at that meeting too, so.
Okay. Select board, they try to do a lot, sometimes they get limited. I like the idea, I think, I like the idea.
I think we should follow up with the select board then and send something ahead of that meeting.
And that's what I was thinking, that's one of the reasons was,
You know, we talked with Chris tonight and
and I.
we're not, and it's not a parks deal, like we're just.
Well, actually, we do have the right to enter into, like, if you look at the charter, we can run programs outside town-owned property, which this
Sure.
would be a program that we're running
Yeah, if they
outside.
want, if
Yeah,
the decision is to say, hey, let parks run with,
That's
X,
our
Y, Z
decision.
with Shady Point, then.
that is our, like, we can have that decision. Like, if select board doesn't get around responding to him and.
That's what I
Yeah,
mean, like, if the decision then is.
so we can,
Park should take this on, or whatever, then.
Well, if
I
they-
think what I'd have to add too, though, is if you guys did in the future. Somehow get a ramp in there or something, I will put in there that I'm revoking my offer,
definitely.
just
Yeah.
because you're gonna make it hard on us.
No, yeah, that's, and
And I don't mean that
No.
wrong or
No,
disrespectful,
I-
that's gonna make it a very hard job for us to
Yeah.
try and stay
And your
afloat and
energies
stay
will
open.
have to be directed.
Yes,
different ways.
so that's.
Yeah,
something
what
that-
we want, is easy recreation for for residents of town. It's not, we don't want to speedboats. It's really, imagine seniors, if you're picturing
I know,
Stemco.
you said that
Yeah,
open
imagine-
buyout thing, but
Yeah,
dealing with what we deal
No,
with, there's not gonna be.
Yeah,
and I hear you because, I have business that I do with public and, you can dream as much as you want,
Yeah.
But even if you don't get to your utopia, there is enough that you can put in place that gets it. And there is things that you can do to avoid to fall into traps that you're gonna fall in, tapping to people that have been in the business, is usually the best thing.
Yeah.
So Karen, you still muted? You still don't have anything to add? Okay. How about, my thoughts is we elaborate something and send it to the select board prior to their meeting, which you're gonna be there. And if they don't follow up with you, I will say we are willing to follow up with you, and under the town charter, we can run programs outside town-owned property. And this would be a program that we would be running.
Yeah.
So we can legally do this. I think if they wanna do it, believe me, I wanna do less. I wanna do more. But I think, maybe we just get some thoughts and plan on what we're gonna send it to Michael Ray and go from there.
Yeah.
Okay,
Sound good?
sounds
Thank you
good.
for.
All right.
bringing this forward.
Sure, yeah.
And is it okay if I take public comment about this? Okay.
Share the statement and address.
Yeah, if anyone has any public comment regarding this topic, please raise your hand. Okay? Karen, can you recognize, please say your name, and your address, please?
Joel? Go ahead.
Hi, yeah, thank you. This is Joel Swenson from 17 Ruth Street. I actually had a lot of comments to make, and I actually don't want to do that at this point. I think that this is going in a positive direction. Chris did an amazing job. A lot of the people that are on the phone right now did meet with Chris and Shady Point to discuss a positive way to allow residents on the lake. Most of us really aren't against having more access to residents. It's just being conscientious of how it affects the actual lake itself. And I just think Chris did a great job. So I wanted to tell him that, and I like the direction that you guys are all going. So I'm going to hold back on some of my other comments that I was going to make, and I appreciate all your time. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
iPhone had a question.
I'm not
Cool.
seeing any other
Oh,
hands.
yeah, there was someone who had a question. I asked you to hold on.
Yeah, it was the iPhone user. She doesn't have a name.
Okay. All right, are you here for this subject? Okay, just to listen, okay, all right. All right, it doesn't seem like, okay. No one has any other comment.
Okay,
So we'll have a plan that we'll send some of our comments to select board. And if they don't follow up with you, do you have your email? Oh, I think I have your email.
that's the office number.
There and here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's try to get something in place for residents, maybe for the summer. I don't know, I like to dream as you see it.
Yeah.
And, you know, if they don't follow up with you, we'll follow up under our authority
Yeah,
and review and try to solidify. And I think people are just gonna be really happy with it.
yeah,
Thank you.
sounds good.
Yes,
As a property owner down in that area, I'd like to commend Chris and thank him for solving or attempting to solve a problem that's not gonna cost us any tax dollars or any aggravation and allow him to continue himself. So thank you very much.
Yeah. Well,
you know, I'll add to it. Are you part of the ownership?
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah, you know, I know the name has come up a lot on Shady
Yeah.
Point, and Shady Point is there, Shady Point is there, but I have never heard anything negative being said about the business, so
Oh, thank you.
congratulations to you.
yeah, thank
It's
you.
not easy, there is always someone.
Yeah, that's, we've had our fair share.
Yeah.
We try our best though.
So if things don't move with the select board, we will take it under,
Okay,
okay?
sounds good.
Well, thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Karen, I'll forward
Rest of the agenda is riveting. You might want to stay.
I wanna stay. But we only have one car.
Oh.
And it's a long walk.
It's cold
All right, so Karen, moving on, Earth Day celebrations. Colleen is leading that and she's meeting with, she met with Mary Wilson. And they don't have anything yet, so,
So I know I had offered to help, so I assume she'll reach out to me if she needs help with anything.
right,
And I
yeah,
mentioned that to Bodie, because I sent Bodie an email for the NH, if you want to, can I combine it with the NHS thing too?
yeah, so talking also about NHS.
I did send an email to Bodie, and actually saw Bodie going into the basketball game tonight, told him I sent him an email.
Okay.
Kind of just surfaced, like, let me know when you want to talk.
Yeah. Because,
Historically, looking at historical artifacts and historical information regarding
Right.
Marshall Park, but I did mention to him tonight as well and put in the note in the email saying, I know we are working on some Earth Day things as well.
right,
So there's probably some, once that's off the ground, there may be some potential
Okay.
there as well, so.
Anita, can you reach out to Colleen
Sure.
and just drop her note that, you know, I think, so Mary is the chair now, and she's a little tapped out on what she can do extra.
Mhm.
She didn't have anyone else take on the lead. I'm not sure if the Conservation Commission will be able to be part of it.
Okay.
But what we did last year was we had a Google form and listed the projects. And then we just advertised around town, Ledger, Facebook,
Mhm.
we shared with the schools. It was not a lot of work upfront.
Mhm.
And then we always had a lead to show up in the different sites.
Mhm.
The DPW helped us with collecting trash, like, you know, I cleaned the pond. the pound next to it's really not my favorite. And, yeah, really. And if it's not something that we, like, because we're gonna enter March, if it's not something that the Conservation Commission come through, we can do enough, and like, we can do just projects on park sites.
Mhm.
And what we did as well was we advertised if anyone wants to do their own event, to let us know, because we might be able to get volunteers. And we had, you guys did an event, but we hadn't publicized. But we did an event down in West Townsend Road, and they did get extra volunteers to help them.
Mhm.
And the volunteers were the neighbors,
Right.
which was wonderful because it was this gentleman who lives in New West Townsend Road, and he's part of a Mason Lodge in Fitchburg. And he got that group to come down, but because we had advertised, he had at least an extra 5 people to come and help, and they did, I would say, over 2 miles of cleaning up because it was both sides of the road. And it was like 2 big pickup trucks of trash. So if we do the same advertising, I think we don't need to get any fancier than that.
Yeah. Okay, no, I'll reach out to Colleen tomorrow,
Okay,
or,
whenever, yeah,
maybe Saturday.
you're gonna be busy, yeah. All right, next item on the agenda is Marshall Park renovation. Funding and timeline, there should have been an and there, but. So the first thing is, Karen, on your package, that is the Town of Lunenburg, an addendum, and has a timeline there. The RFQ for the OPM is out. They have received 28 requests.
Wow.
28 requests. It's interesting because an OPM, they don't really need to do a lot of prepping. Really, they're just project manager. Once the project starts is when they can, it's not a bad, if you have the schedule open, it's not a bad gig. This is the timeline for the RFQ. The reason I added this is on March 13, we are going to receive the proposals. So we need to be ready to review the proposals between March 17, between after March 13. And then on March 20th, we should plan to meet and discuss the proposals that we received and decide which one we want to invite for the final interviews.
So are we doing the ranking of all the proposals?
Yes.
Okay.
So Heather will eliminate people that did not meet the minimum requirement, which she needs to do it to make sure they are following law, because there's procurement law. So we review it for a week, and then we meet on the 20th, and we can make a decision about who we wanted to invite for an interview. And then on March 27th is the interview, and we can make the decision right then, or basically we have a week to give that information to the town, and the town to communicate with them and to award the contract.
Is there a number of people we have to select for interview?
No,
Like we did Marshall, it was only 5 anyway, so.
and we interview the 5s, yeah.
Yeah, and most communities try to do between 2 and 3 at minimum.
Okay.
It really depends on the qualifications of who's in the running.
Yeah. So, you know, and their packages do tell us a lot, like, you know, I remember Walla was the smallest company, architectural. Anyway, it's getting tired. It was one of the smallest company, but they had, their package did tell us they have done a lot of very custom projects. And that was what attracted me to them, because everyone else was showing, you know, big pavements of parks.
Mhm.
So if you all could put this timeline on your agenda, we are definitely meeting on the 20th and the 27th.
Okay.
Is that a time?
I believe it's supposed to be on Wednesdays.
How are we gonna get the packets?
Once the town receives it, I think the last time, Karen, you delivered them, right?
Say that again?
Oh,
Yeah, the package is
Mine.
from the RFQ. You
Yep, I
delivered
delivered them.
them?
Yep.
Yeah, Chris picked up his because he's different.
maybe we
No, I
should-
dropped them off at Chris's door.
Did you drop it off? All right,
Okay.
okay,
Okay.
never mind.
but those are the dates related
Thank
to
you,
that.
Karen.
So the RFQ,
So we would meet at night, like
7 o'clock.
on 7 o'clock on those.
Yeah.
okay. So those would tie in with what would typically be our next
Well, at least one of them is our meeting.
meeting.
It's probably the 27th would have been a regular meeting. So this will be the grant that we received from the state, the $500,000 grant. And this is for the construction of pavilion, playground, the basketball court and 3 pickleballs, in the play area. And we have $1 million from the, from ARPA. So this is this construction. Tying to this, and even with the revised cost, I think the only thing that it's is to bring in but even the utilities, the revised cost that we have does not truly represent everything, because the revised cost has bring utilities to the entire park.
Mhm.
And in this case, we just need utilities to one section of the park, which it would be, but we do have, even with the revised cost, 1.5 million is within the budget. Aside from that, I gave you all an email, several emails that I have exchanged with Heather, because if you recall, our original goal was to have this project funded at this town meeting. A few things has happened, which is the biggest driver for me, is we have not received information about the Land and Water Conservation Fund. That is $1 million grant. And I don't believe we'll receive the information about that grant, if we've been awarded to that grant or not, until after town meeting warrant closes.
Mhm.
And I did warn them that if we don't receive it before then, we'll definitely need to get funding and town meeting vote in our special town meeting. Heather, with all the budgets, concerns that she has had and everything that's up in the air, I have not been able to get a commitment from Heather when we're gonna be seeking funding, which has been frustrating, because I have said as much in my email. And I understand her position, and I think we all understand ours. We've been working with town manager and the town to talk about this project for more than 2 years. You can't simply, all of a sudden, you gotta make the plan for it and see it through it. I have made it very clear that if we get the $1 million grant, I will be happy to collect 10 signatures and put this in front of the town meeting, because we can only get $1 million if we fund the rest of the project. And at that point, is the town meeting decisions if they're gonna do it or not. But I am looking to do things with Heather and the town to find the best possible time for it, but we gotta be ready to be perhaps at odds with, or not be in the same place as she is. But I think we have made very clear that we're doing these things with the town. We have been very open about the timeline, the cost, and we just gotta deliver to the town, and the town needs to make the decision, and that's where I stand. If we are not awarded this $1 million grant, I think then it's worth for us to have a conversation if we wanna postpone funding to then request apply for this grant again, get feedback from the state why we want awarded the grant, and apply for the grant again next year. I think $1 million counts a lot towards the goal of building this park.
Mhm.
So I wanted to bring everybody to date on where I am, and you all have my communications with Heather. And if you have any feedback about that, I'm happy, you all have my email. But more important than that, this is an update on where we are, and I'll take any thoughts, comments, or concerns. Any comments, Karen?
I have comments, but they're not directed at you per se. I'm
Okay.
extremely disappointed in how this is being handled on the town side. This is not a project that we have been conducting in a bubble. It's something that we have been very transparent about. We put ourselves out there. We stood up in front of town meeting a couple of years ago at special town meeting, requesting funding and saying we want this funding because we want to be able to apply for some grants. And so it was no secret. So I'm very frustrated on the town side that there has not been an equal amount of transparency and conversation that's included us. And I know that you know this, I'm sure that I've expressed it to you before, and I think you've done your due
No, but
diligence.
this is a public meeting. It's important for
I
the
know.
public to know where we are, and I appreciate your elaborating.
Yeah, I just, again, yes, did we have a price change? For sure. But from what I understand from my experience, there's nothing, there is nothing in this, this upcoming fiscal year's budget for anything related to the Marshall Park project, for anything. And I'm just extremely disappointed in the town side of things and how they're dealing with this. We've put ourselves out there, we've put ourselves on the line, we've done a ton of work going for these grants. If the town wants to say no to us, the town as a whole, the residents at a vote, absolutely, that is their right to do so, and I will respect that up and down. However, I take offense when the town is trying to not be as transparent and not seemingly be willing to work with us to figure out what the plan's gonna be. And I understand we're in the middle of budget season, a very tough budget season. Completely understand that, but at the same time, these are discussions that could have, at least for the money figures we had originally, happened back in June, July, August, before what we're currently faced with even came about. So, yeah, that's my 2 cents on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, how about you, Chris? You've been on this grind for a while. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I can just echo Karen. You know, I think we've done a very good job of not operating in a little bubble and keeping this very quiet. I think we've been out there, we've, made it abundantly clear of, the project we're trying to take on. And, I think we need to be, I feel like, we've been pretty proactive. I mean, Anna, in particular you, and so talking with Heather. Throughout all of this, and we're in a situation here that, could have probably been avoided. So.
Yeah. Well, you need a former time. I know, it's, you can see both sides, right?
That's exactly what I was gonna say. I've been in Heather's shoes, I've been in the selectmen's shoes.
Right.
So I understand where they're coming from. But what I can say also is even before I became a member of the Parks Commission, having, paid attention to what was going on and what was discussed at previous town meetings. I mean, this commission has done everything they said they were going to do. And, kudos to all of you, who have done all this work, before now. Because you said you were gonna do it and you've done it, and we're not done yet. We're still doing more.
Right.
Talking about grants, we're gonna, talking about others, and so it's frustrating, but I'm not surprised.
Fair, okay, yeah, I think the part that's frustrating for me the most is it's frustrating for me that I'm gonna say I appreciate Heather, and I think she's a fantastic financial planner, but it's frustrating that I feel like the support that the town has shown for this project is being ignored. We have gone to town meetings several times to get a vote, and the town has repeatedly supported this project. That should be a message to the people that are guiding and driving the budget and the money, that the town would like to see this. And that's the part that it's the most frustrating. It's not, I will do my job. I will say that I will do something, I will do it. But when you think that the collective is being ignored and simply not given an update or a path forward, I think that is extremely disrespectful. And that's the part I feel frustrated for the town. Because I think it's not, we thank you for saying that everything we have said that we are going to do, we done it. But the people has also done it. They have funded, they have done funded the survey, they have funded the conceptual design, they have funded the engineering. We had support for the ARPA section, and all of that, we are left in this space of, we don't know what's gonna happen. And this is something that I know, before I became chair of the Parks Commission, I talked with the town manager that could this project be funded? And at that time, they were talking about 30 School Street Park. And at that time, Heather said, I'm sure there's a way for both parks to be done. And I said, even in town meeting, I think that's difficult. And I think it'll be difficult to fund both at the same time. It will be too much money going to park. I would like to see one that the town has shown to be supporting, finish, and then go for another one. And that's, you know, that's what the 30th Street Park at that time, the select board is trying to push forward. That has been defeated in town meeting. The town knows what they want. We don't need, so I feel incredible disrespect for the will of the people. And I don't like that. And that's why I said, and I said with this many words, that if we are awarded that grant, I will collect 10 signatures, and I will bring that, and it will be up to the town. I'm hoping we don't get to that, but that is my true, honest, passionate feeling about it.
Yeah, you know, I think Anna, I think you sort of hit the nail on the head here. You know, our project, we had a lot of public involvement. We had more public involvement in all the phases of what we've gone through so far for Marshall Park than I think they even had in total for the old primary school. I think that the involvement we've had from the public has been great. I wouldn't want it any other way. And where we've gotten further with details and all of this, and than I think many of the other projects have, we're able to say to the town, this is what we're looking to do. You know, and just to be clear on something as well, because I don't want Chris Ruth to feel like I just threw him under the bus. My comments aren't directed at him. My comments are being directed at specifically town manager's office. She is the one that puts together the budget. She's the one that is, you know, helping to shape the, you know, the way our borrowing goes, and you know, needs to be having these tough conversations. And it seemed like we were on a good path for a while with these conversations, and then they just stopped. And while I appreciate, again, that we're in the middle of a very difficult budget season, we've already expended a few $100,000, just south of that, maybe, I don't know, whatever it is. So we've expended money, and I think that we owe it to the residents to have a clear path forward, regardless of what that path is. If the path forward is them saying, we don't want this, that's fine. If the path forward is saying, we want this, we need to have that path. And right now I feel like we don't have that path because the communication seems to have ceased.
So thank you all. That's, I guess we're all on the same page emotionally.
Yeah.
The last piece to it is, within these conversations over the past month and a half, town manager said that we need, so just we are clear about this, and I am frustrated about it, and I have expressed this to her, but you know, we have been very honest about this process with the residents, and I'm going to continue to be. In the past month and a half, town manager said that what we need to do is to get together with the schools and the building design committee and see what is going to be the need for capital funding for all the projects. Now, this is something that I said to her in the email, and I'm gonna say in public. If that is the case, we should have had this meeting 2 years ago before we spent $200,000 on design, period. If that is a financial view, I know how much I owe. I know, you know, like it's not something out of the blue. These are conversations the building design has been around for more than a decade. So I don't think our project ties to theirs. Further, and more interesting is their project life cycle. It's not the same as ours. We're ready to break ground. In fact, we are breaking ground July 1st. We have the money and we are hiring someone who's gonna cost the town more money. And this project is ready, it's shovel ready, it's happening. All these other projects, they don't even know where to go.
Mhm.
They don't know what they're gonna do with Turkey Hill. They don't know if it's worth keeping the budget, the building, they don't know if they're gonna invest to stay there within the next decade, 5 years. The building redesign committee, they have had ARPA money, they haven't done anything with it. We are not in the same life cycle. By the time we're done building and likely paying more than half of Marshall, I bet you none of these projects have happened. The same thing happened with the elementary school back here. It was sitting there for 15 years, nothing happened. And this commission is actually doing things to make things happen. And I can only tell you, if that grant comes through, I personally will, and I hope from what I get, we get it, but it's mind boggling. But suppose, it is scheduled for a meeting next week. And this is going to be my position, which is, we're ready. If you're not, you catch the wind.
Get on board.
Yeah. All right. So that was my update on that. Dredging grant. Anita, would you like to tell us about it?
Sure. So we're in the process of finalizing a grant application that would provide us funds to do some necessary work at both the town beach on Lake Whalum and the pond at Marshall Park. And the goals for each is slightly different. The goal for the town beach at Lake Whalum would be to remove the dark colored vegetation that lies in the beach areas, mainly as a safety measure. The weeds have been a concern there, and the having that dark vegetation on the bottom of the pond makes it difficult for lifeguards to safely view who's out there in the water and do their jobs. The goal for the pond at Marshall Park is different in that what has happened over time is that some unexpected runoff that came from Main Street and from Highland caused runoff and erosion of soils into the pond. And as a result, there has been a change in water elevations. There's been a change in the vegetation that's been growing up within the pond. It's basically become what they call a monoculture of water lilies at this point. And the ability of the river, the stream that goes through the pond is being blocked because of the lack of volume within the pond at Marshall Park. So the grant that we're putting together, which is due tomorrow, would provide funds for the proper design of work that needs to be done and for the construction, the actual dredging, hydro raking that needs to be done at both locations. And it's just under a $700,000 amount that we'll be requesting. So we will get that grant finalized and get it submitted tomorrow, well before the deadline. And I'll either Anna or I will report back to everyone when we hear more from the granting agency.
And I reviewed the documents that Anita put together, and I just want to say thank you. These grants are not easy. It's a lot of work, and I appreciate you doing the work that you did and bringing your past experience into our group. And it's huge. I bet you probably spent at least 30 hours doing this so far.
I wouldn't say that, but I think you and Karen have done more on the other grant.
No, I think it's not known. It has to be north of 20 because it's a lot of work on aligning the documents and researching and creating the narrative. So this is not small work. And
there's a lot of brain power, Anita. Please, don't downplay the work that you did. There's a lot of brain power. Even when you're not putting pen to paper, I find that we tend to think about it, what needs to get done. So yes, thank you so very much for doing all of this.
Carrie, I think we have a town meeting warrant for this cycle. Agreed? Okay. Update on Zero Whalum Road. So this is the small parcel adjacent to McNally. I did approach them, the owners of that development, And they had stated that if the town wanted that lot, they would give it. And when I said, hey, I wanted that lot, they said, oh, no, we don't want to give it to you. Because that's a special type of zoning, anything they want to do there requires a new approval from the zoning board of appeals. I've signed up to get notifications for new agenda items. Next time they will be there to ask for anything and have a hearing, I will be going. That's all.
I thought they were supposed to provide that. I thought the whole premise of that was what they built there was, then they were supposed to provide a
Well, the way,
playground kind of deal or whatnot, and the insurance changed, and so now they don't want to provide a playground.
Well, the
They had
lang-
said they wanted to
yeah, so
just give the land.
that's what I asked them, but unfortunately, the way the language was drafted into the zoning board of appeals, a variation, whatever it is. It's a document that gets registered with the registry of the deeds, it becomes part of the deed. The language, the way it was drafted, it does not say it has to live in perpetuity that way. It just says you have to take that action. You have to offer the town the land and this playground worth of 30,000. They did, the town at the time said no, and they met the qualifications. But I'll tell you, anything they need to ask the zoning board of appeals, anything they want to do, they just built a garage. They needed to ask for a permission. So I have, next time they're there, I'm only telling you, I'm going to be there.
Is there anything we can do in working with?
I
Just
approached, they
don't-
said no, and so I'll show up in the next meeting.
It's unfortunate.
It is unfortunate, but
But we won't give up.
we won't give up, typical,
That's
typical of us.
The land that goes around, the backside of McNally Field. Have we looked at that we haven't, I guess I know. we
So,
haven't
I know.
Further, but there is that,
Yeah,
we kind of circle around that,
yeah,
our property goes around that to the back or.
thank you. Have a nice
Thank you.
evening, thank you. So we did have a request for, McNally survey conceptual design from capital plan that was not approved.
Yeah.
We have approached the water, district about maybe doing something with, they have land there that is adjacent to ours, that abuts ours. And I say ours is meaning the town, and they also have land across the street from their property. I think when we have money for actually doing something, it'll be the right time to approach them and see what they're willing to concede and offer, and, might be something we can do. They have given us enough positive, saying they will work with us that I think we need to do. Karen, do you have any updates? Moving on to the next item, do you have any updates from the master plan steering committee?
So our next meeting is next week. We did have I don't even know, like a community meeting, last month, for people to participate in. I think there was 2 sessions that should be up online for anybody who wants to view it. So our next meeting though is next March 7th, I believe at 6 o'clock.
Okay.
Yeah, I went to one of the sessions. It was.
Oh,
it was
nice.
interesting.
Nice, thank you.
Mhm.
From open space, we had a meeting last night, and we discussed the Shady Points offer. And the Open Space Commission decided that their ask to transfer the properties to parks still stand. There's no other update. That is some land that might become available that is adjacent to the town forest, up on West Townsend Road and Howard Street. So they're looking to that, that is in chapter, that's gonna come out of chapter, but there was an NOI on it, so there's something new, but there might be an opportunity for purchasing more land. Interesting, the Conservation Commission last year received a donation, someone's state of worth of more than $1 million. So the Conservation Commission actually has money to buy land.
Wow.
Yeah, it was interesting. All right, approve the minutes. Karen, can you lead us through it?
Yep, so there's 2 sets of minutes that have been uploaded to the SharePoint folder called pending minutes. There's 2 sets of them, October and December. I did go
Yeah.
back, Chris, the last meeting. You had some recommendations or you had a correction regarding some dates. And I did go back and correct those. I went back to the last minutes. I'm sorry, I went back to the actual video and I confirmed that the dates that our minutes taker had I think they had just been crossed, so I adjusted those.
Motion to approve the 2 sets of minutes that you,
Okay, the only thing that I saw was they spelled Northfield as 2 words. When we're talking about Northfield, I don't think that's incorrect, but, I'm gonna second that motion. So roll call, Karen,
Aye.
Anita,
Aye.
and I for myself. All right, as you all have noticed, there is chair update in here, but
covered it.
well, a lot of commissions, they put a lot of different things under old business. And I like to list everything that I'm thinking about talking so that we can have an open discussion. And if there is any residents
When we
interested.
use old business.
Say it
Just so
again?
the way you're doing it is a better way of doing it. The state actually dislikes when commissions just put old business as a broad category.
Yeah, I don't do
It's
that,
not
so,
detailed enough, so you're good.
yeah, so my agendas look very long, but that is because my intention is to be very clear about the business that we do. Upcoming meetings, I think we talked about that we are going to do the March meeting dates, which is March 20th and 27th.
Right.
I'm very excited about those meetings. And any public comment, we have 1 person on Zoom, no one here. Doesn't seem like we have any public comment. Any public comment from the commissioners?
Just to point out, I know the Little League is looking at moving the T-ball group. They started that discussion with the select board to move the old primary school property.
I know,
So,
so can I,
just for, just.
yeah, so I saw that, I was there.
Yeah, I saw,
Yeah.
and my computer died right when Tom. was
Right.
talking.
And, so their concerns were not forever. Well, the Little League, they do business with the town. They don't do necessarily business with Parks Commission. They do business with the town with a contract that expires at the end of the season. They pay a fee and also they have insurance that matches the requirement for the town. So all of their concerns were irrelevant, and I thought it was such a waste of time and to make Little League come back.
Yeah,
If that was their concern, because they are insured when they sign the contract to use the parks. It doesn't say the park commission, it says the town of Lunenburg. So
yeah,
we
that's
have
the
the
question. I
insurance.
wanted to make sure that it was not specific to the locations, I think, and so forth, so.
It is,
um,
it wouldn't be because we have, how many different locations we have.
Right, right.
And then,
Yeah.
so I hope that they are on the agenda again for next Tuesday.
I think it's, good solution working with the skate park and so forth. I think it's a good, good spot to,
Yeah.
be temporarily anyway, so.
Yeah,
That's good.
definitely. All right. Any public comment?
Nothing from me.
How about you, Karen?
I got nothing.
Okay, you're very muted today. All right, with that, I take a motion for,
Motion to
Adjourn.
adjourn at 9:08 p.m.
all right, second,
Second.
all right, Chris, Anita,
Aye.
and Karen, and I'm gonna say I barely crossed 2-hour meeting. I do not like first 2
That's pretty
hours, but I
good.
did it.
Aye for
Yeah.
me.
Good job.
We did it. Yes, so
Good job.
thank you. Good night, everyone.
Karen's meetings went forever.
I know.
Ha ha ha. Oh,
Hi, Karen.
I should, now I wish I came and breathed on all of you.
Bye, Karen.